Three young Americans, Mike, Paul, and Stan, embarked on a daring summer adventure in 1972. The trio, fresh from the high school years and brimming with excitement, set sail from the sunny coast of California, dreaming of exploring the vast Pacific and discovering the beautiful western coast of Mexico. Their only companion on this journey was their boat, a cheap, weathered vessel with a temperamental engine. Despite its flaws, the boat represented freedom, a symbol of their desire to escape from the mundane routines of their everyday lives. Little did they know that this adventure would soon take a harrowing and dangerous turn. Their initial journey was filled with the usual thrill of youth, new places, breathtaking views, and a shared sense of camaraderie between the three friends. But their excitement faded as they approached the Mexican coastline near Mazatlan, and their boat's engine failed. Panic set in when they realized that the problem was far beyond their ability to fix. Left stranded in the middle of the ocean with only $300 in their pockets, the reality of their situation began to sink in. The group's carefree expedition had become a nightmare. With no way to repair their boat and nothing left to lose, they began to hatch a risky plan to save themselves from disaster. In their desperation, the young men decided to venture into the heart of Mexico to buy cheap hashish and smuggle it back into the United States to sell for a profit. The plan was a dangerous one, but it seemed like the only viable option to raise enough money to fix their boat and continue their journey. What began as a simple scheme to survive quickly spiraled into a series of unforeseen events that would lead them deep into the criminal underworld. Their first attempt to buy the drugs took them to a remote mountain pass. The place was isolated and rugged, with only the most hardened locals inhabiting the area. It was there that the trio encountered a group of armed farmers. A misunderstanding between the two parties quickly escalated, resulting in the young Americans unintentionally ending up with 6 large sacks of hashish, far more than they had bargained for. The situation grew more dangerous by the minute, but with no other option, the men decided to press on. As they tried to transport their haul, things only got worse. Police in the area were on high alert, and the group came dangerously close to being caught multiple times. In a desperate bid to avoid detection, they hid the drugs inside hollowed-out surfboards, hoping the authorities wouldn't think to look there. It was a close call, but somehow they managed to escape without getting caught. Still, the young men knew that their problems had only just begun. What seemed like a brief moment of success was merely the calm before a storm of trouble. Salvation appeared to come in the form of 2 American brothers, Frank and Dan Sierra. These brothers seemed like the answer to the group's problems, offering to help them return home to the United States. At first, it seemed like a stroke of luck. The brothers were older and more experienced, and their offer of assistance felt like a lifeline in a time of uncertainty. What Mike, Paul, and Stan didn't realize, however, was that the Sierra brothers were seasoned drug smugglers with a boat loaded with a staggering 1,000 kilos of hashish, far more than they could have imagined. The group was unknowingly entangled in an even larger criminal operation. The brothers' boat set sail, with the 5 men aboard, but disaster struck just hours into the journey. The boat collided with something in the water, and within moments, it began to sink. Panic erupted among the group as the boat sank rapidly and they were forced to abandon ship. They barely managed to escape with their lives, washing ashore on a remote beach. To their shock, the beach was littered with drug bales, remnants of the smugglers' cargo. The group was stranded once again, but they had no choice but to make the best of their situation. Their brief sense of relief didn't last long. As local villagers discovered them on the beach, they immediately alerted the police. The group, once again trapped and desperate, was apprehended by law enforcement. As the authorities closed in, the Americans were coerced into signing confessions they couldn't even read. It didn't matter that they were innocent of the more serious crimes. The men were thrown into a decrepit and overcrowded Mexican prison, a nightmarish place where survival was a daily struggle. The prison, known for its lawless atmosphere and brutal conditions, was a far cry from anything they had imagined. The prison was overcrowded, with men crammed into cells meant to hold far fewer. Gangs ruled the place, and violence was a constant. The trio quickly realized that if they didn't find a way to escape, they would die in this wretched hellhole. They had no choice but to rely on their wits and ingenuity if they hoped to survive. It was during this time that the group began to devise a daring plan to escape, a plan that would involve digging a tunnel through the concrete floor of their cell. Inspired by classic prison break stories, they drew on all their resourcefulness to make the impossible possible. With only a stolen butter knife and a makeshift hammer made from a rock, they set to work. The process was grueling, slow, and painful, but the men didn't give up. They had nothing left to lose. Progress was excruciatingly slow. The concrete was thick, and the ground beneath it was waterlogged, which caused further delays. The group had to wait for the prison's water supply to be shut off before they could continue digging. But their resolve never wavered. With each passing day, they dug, scraping away at the concrete in the hopes of eventually breaking through. Along the way, they encountered numerous obstacles. A broken sewage pipe flooded their tunnel with filth, and it was only with the reluctant help of Benny, a fellow inmate, that they were able to seal the leak. When rainstorms threatened to collapse the tunnel, the men worked tirelessly, making sure the structure remained intact. For weeks, they continued their back-breaking labor, battling the elements and their own exhaustion. Finally, after weeks of tireless digging, they managed to break through to the surface. The tunnel's end was just beyond the prison's outer wall. With their hearts pounding in anticipation, they began to make their escape. On the night of their planned breakout, the group crawled through the narrow tunnel, emerging into the open air, dirty, exhausted, but free. They quickly reversed their clothes to hide the evidence of their escape and walked past the prison guards, blending in with the local population. A tense wait ensued, but eventually, getaway cars arrived to whisk the men to safety. The group split up. The Sierra brothers vanished into Mexico's criminal underworld, while Mike, Paul, and Stan crossed the border back into the United States. Their escape was nothing short of miraculous, a testament to their ingenuity, determination, and sheer willpower. Against all odds, they had outsmarted one of Mexico's most dangerous prisons and reclaimed their freedom. Their story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of circumstances, hope and resilience can still prevail. These three young men had gone from carefree adventurers to desperate criminals, only to find freedom in the most unexpected way. Their story remains one of survival, perseverance, and the relentless drive for freedom, no matter the cost.